Now we're going to move into December, and that's a really big one. Raphael's talked about this galactic wave of energy was going to be arriving and helping us to birth a new consciousness.
I've been looking at this astrological unique configuration and peak of timing, but didn't know what was going to create the jump. And then, hey presto, the three-eye atlas appears.
We're going to just be bombarded with this energy that's coming in from Three-Eye Atlas just 2 days after it's closest to the Earth, that we're going to really feel this huge shift.
The particular astrological configuration that we have at the moment, that we have never had before, that 12-12 portal, is really quite remarkable.
It's activating something in us and in our DNA and supporting us in this leap as it delivers its frequency, its love, its energy. Not only is it awakening that lie and dwell within you, but also within Mother Earth herself. There will be a splitting, and it is not so much a splitting, but it is a choice between different ways and opportunities that will present themselves to you.
So is this the splitting of the present? Is this the time where the two Earths are being created?
Everyone in the community is talking a lot about Three-Eye Atlas. And I'm just feeling how potent and powerful it is, and such a messenger of love. We're recording this today as it's passing by Venus, which is that beautiful love frequency. And it just feels so big. And I know for a lot of people, they may not have even heard of it, or it feels very abstract, or what does that have to do with my everyday life? But it's delivering something to us, this frequency. And maybe for a lot of people, they don't know what they're feeling, but they're feeling something, right? They're not sleeping, or they're having a hard time, and things are going on. And so it's inviting us right now, we've talked about this before, to create between now and when it comes closest to us on December 19th, as much space within our being and quietness as possible, so that we can receive what it wants to share with us. Because if we're closed down like this and in resistance, we're not going to get the gifts. We have to open up, we have to let go. And so we're in this purifying process, this releasing of our old wounds, old energies, old belief systems, so we can make space to receive what's coming in. And as we can receive it, then it will start to amplify and grow within us. And in the next coming years, as we go through, for me at least, will complete the light codes by the end of 2029, early 2030. This period is this time where we really will be accelerating, activating our light bodies, coming into fullness. And along with that, there's all this purging happening, purifying, releasing, and it can feel difficult for people and hard. But if we can just settle into it and trust in the process, I think that there's lots of beautiful blessings coming from it.
Pam, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'm really excited alongside Kelly. I've been seeing this astrologically. I don't have Kelly's channeling gifts, but it was really interesting because going back to October 2024, I spotted this very particular geometry between the planets that was very much to do with metamorphosis, profound metamorphosis. And nobody else seemed to be talking about that then. So I kind of went out on a bit of a limb, sort of looking through the months of 2025. I did a series of videos, and then met up with wonderful people like Kelly and David Clements and Nancy Rebecca and various people. And each of these wonderful beings were saying the same thing or seeing the same thing from their particular modalities. And it was like new bits of the jigsaw were taking place, because I almost didn't dare to really trust that by the end of this year something extraordinary was going to happen, because seeing it from an astrological point of view, the energy for next year is very different from the energy in this year. This year's much more about endings, a little bit of beginnings, but endings, a little bit of beginning, a lot of churn. But next year is very different. So I kept thinking, so what's going to create the jump? What's going to be the catalyst, the accelerator to jump us so radically in energy? And then, spookily enough, Three-Eye Atlas appeared right in divine timing, and so that I just thought, wow. And listening to Kelly and other people, and really feeling in my own experience of what was going on, I just thought, this is so beautifully beneficial for humanity, and we have to welcome it with open arms.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a very exciting time to be alive.
Yeah, so I'm gonna admit something that is a little vulnerable, right? But like as somebody who interviews hundreds of people in the spiritual community, I still am like skeptical, right? Like I remain skeptical. Like, and right now there's so much going on that I can't even deny it, even if I wanted to, you know? And I notice people coming in to these circles that are kind of in the same boat with their hands up, like, look, I might have been skeptical, but there's so much going on right now that I need to pay attention to what all these people are talking about, you know? And I'm really excited that there's people like both of you here right now for those people that welcome them very lovingly, comfortably, you know? Like I wouldn't want my friends to meet anybody else when they're in this struggle of life than you two, like warm arms open. And so what are you actually experiencing that's coming from Three Eye Atlas right now?
I think Kelly should go first on that because I a lot of information.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I did that interview with Heather Ensworth, and Three Eye Atlas spoke and talked about that it's having an enormous impact on us, whether we're conscious of it or not. And at that time, I think it was just about to pass by Mars. And its energy said that, the in doing that, it was supporting us in bringing more peace. And soon after that, we had the ceasefire in Israel, with Gaza. And there's been incidences, yes, but so far it's kind of holding, like, fingers crossed. But it's amazing that right as it passed by, within a day, like right then, that's when that happened. And now it's moving into this love energy as it's passing by Venus. And that's helping us to all open our hearts and purify. And people are feeling stuff because they're healing their hearts, they're opening their hearts that are so shut down. And now we're going to move into December. And that's a really big one because on the 19th is going to get closest to the Earth right before the winter solstice. And around the spring of 2025, Raphael's talked about the fact that we were in this 9 month of gestation period, and that this galactic wave, a galactic baby of energy, was going to be arriving and helping us to birth a new consciousness, to take that threshold that Pam talks about, to stepping over into a new world as we move into 2026, right? The endings and the new beginnings. And so what they're showing me that in December is that we're just going to start to get hit by these waves, right, of energy that we'll start to feel because it's going to come around the sun. And, it's been interacting with the sun. It's had flares on the other side that will start to come this way. And that the sun is a delivery system through the flares and the solar wind to bring us this beautiful ancient wisdom and codes and remembering, so we can remember who we are. And it coincides for me energetically with this very beautiful feminine energy that's coming. This, it feels like it's in perfect union, Three Eye Atlas of the divine feminine and masculine. And I've been working with a lot of feminine frequencies right now. And as we move into December, we're going to connect more with that energy and that's going to be rising as we're merging what we think of as our Christ consciousness vibration with the mother source energy. And that's going to be occurring on 12/12. And before that, on the 8th, we have traditionally, like in a religious standpoint, we think of the Immaculate Conception. Well, they talk about that as being that they're delivering light to us right around that time, that we're going to be receiving, that as there are this fertilization system, and we've creating this emptiness, this space, and what we've been talking about is our womb chakra. And I know this sounds like hard to grasp because it's all kind of out there and big, but there's this whole coherent piece that's happening. And I don't know anything about astrology. That is not my field at all. But I think that it's going to be in early December in the constellation of Virgo. Is that right, Pam? Um,
Which particular thing, Kelly? Do you know? I mean,
Three Eye Atlas.
ah, Right, we don't quite know because we're not going to get another read on it until late November when it comes out. It's almost looking into a car headlights right now because we're looking into the glare of the sun. So it
Okay.
was at 22:45 of Libra recently. And so we don't quite know exactly where it's going to be in the Western Tropical Zodiac until late November. And then we can see whether it's change speed or trajectory or whatever. But if it's in Virgo, this is the Virgin and very, very connected to some beautiful divine feminine energy, as you know, which is going to be exquisite.
Yeah, so I have no idea. We'll see, but that was what I was receiving, and then maybe moving into more Leo energy it was showing, and then this divine union that was coming up between these two energies. And then at the winter solstice is when I've been receiving for 9 months now, which is just 2 days after it's closest to the earth, that we're going to have this collective birthing process where many of us are going to really feel this huge shift and step over this threshold to birth this new consciousness and a change literally in our as evolution. And it seems huge. And then I wonder, well, what does that mean? Like, will we feel it in that moment? Not necessarily, but it's this wave of energy, and I think many of us will, and many people are feeling it already as it's coming in. As Pam and I were talking before we clicked record, that we're both, not sleeping so great, and the energies are very potent right now.
Mm.
Yeah, and what's beautiful at the Capricorn solstice as well is the sun at zero Capricorn is exactly in between Venus and Mars. So that's like the balance of the divine feminine and the divine masculine as well. And just to pick up, Kelly, on what you were saying, I think because I look at the dwarf planets as well, which are further out in space, and so much of their symbolism is about uncovering ancient wisdom that we used to know. So it isn't just that new light codes are coming in, it's that we are kind of pulling away the veil from our consciousness to remember all that ancient wisdom and collect and connection to Gaia and shamanism and love for the earth. So that's coming online as well. And just I think particularly young people feel this, but more and more I'm just seeing all around me that people are really wanting to help the earth from all the exploitation and ravaging we've done, to help the animal kingdom as well. And we're almost stepping into, I don't know how you feel, Kelly and Cal, but it's almost like Lemurian energy, where they lived in the light body a lot of the time. They had a complete sense of harmony with all living beings. They didn't kill to eat. They were just in a state of oneness the whole time. They could read each other's energy, so it was impossible to lie or have any deception. Would heal each other instantly. It really seemed like the most magical and perfect civilization that we have any, understanding of or remembrance of. And that's my best kind of guess at where we are headed. But I think it's also that what we're going to feel at the end of December or 19th, 20th, 21st first, is this birth of a new consciousness that may actually be quite quiet because the noisy stuff is the 3D with all the crashing scenery and the shouting and the war and the awful stuff, but you don't see the quiet stuff. And I think it's those, smiling to strangers, those small acts of kindness. That's what's creating this new web of light, which is this new energetic template of consciousness, of new galactic consciousness, that, from which everything will emerge as we go forward. So it doesn't necessarily have to be visible and loud and out there. It's not going to be suddenly one day, boom, the world is going to change. So, I don't want people to set up their expectations. It could be very quiet, but very beautiful. And those of us who are interested in this and tuned in are already having that sense of excitement, of higher psychic sensitivity, finer perceptions. That's all coming online. And just the other thing to add, Kelly, because it picks up from something you said. When I really got excited last October 2024, I was in a 4-day retreat with Veda Austin in Glastonbury, and I'd spotted particular geometry between Pluto, Homer, a dwarf planet, and Sedna, a dwarf planet. And Sedna and Homer are both about regeneration and rebirth. And the myth of Sedna, for those who don't know it, just to keep it kind of super short, is she had an inappropriate marriage. She asked her father to come and rescue her. He came in a kayak. A big storm blew up. In order to save himself, her father threw Sedna out of the kayak. And when she tried to climb back in, he chopped her fingers off. And so she floated down to the deep, icy wastes of the Arctic, but she transmuted into a beautiful sea goddess. And her fingers became dolphins and whales and all these very high dimensional sea creatures. So there's several elements, because I became really excited about that, because there's several elements to that. First of all, letting go of old kinds of security. Don't hang on tight to but we have to let it go. Secondly, the patriarchy does not shine in that myth. um, and thirdly, it wasn't just a transformation, it was a metamorphosis. It was a total state of a total change of being, that she became a sea goddess, but she had to let go of all the old forms of security in order that that could happen. So that's when I got excited 13 months ago and started me on this rabbit this chase. Since then, adding in astrology and your wonderful channelings, etc., etc. So I just really wanted to echo that from what you were, feeling and seeing in your channeling.
Yeah, and I love how you say that it will come quietly. And it's up to us to be able to hear it. And if we're so busy with all the distractions, and that's why we're being so asked by Spirit right now to be quiet, because just as you're saying, I so echo that, Pam, is that it's not happening in a big bang. It's happening in the stillness, in the quietness, in the space in between, in the place where we're in the void, where we're giving ourselves permission to let go, like you're saying, enough to be able to feel it, to sense it, to know it. And so different people have different ways of going about that to create that spaciousness so that they have the perception to be able to see the change that's happening, where they're just looking out and all of a sudden the trees are talking to them, or they see that everything is just sparkling, or they lose complete sense of time, or they find themselves in much more willingness to be in sacred space. I was talking to my son this morning. He had gone away for 5 or 6 days. He told me he was doing some retreat and I didn't know what, but he went into northern Spain where they take your phone and everything and your shoes in the wilderness,
Can't
and
escape.
you have to walk barefoot and do everything, but there's no schedule. He said it was purposely
Nice.
not organized, like in terms of a retreat. And you were just like, oh, well, now we're getting hungry. Well, how are we going to get the food? And now, we need to chop wood because it's getting chilly, and go up the hill and carry the log down barefoot and be present so that when the sticker is going up your foot, you're okay. And of course, that's an extreme process, just like me going into the dark. We tend to do extreme things, but it energetically, it's a metaphor for all of us, right? These different things that we are perhaps more being called to come into community, to be more quiet, to create more spaciousness, to go within, to connect to nature, to attune to our indigenous one, the indigenous wisdom keepers and all of the knowledge that they carry. And all of this is resurfacing. And when you were talking about the young people are so loving the earth and connected, I think one of the majors in the universities that has the most enrollment for students is environmental science or agriculture
That's my
or
major. Let's
herbalism,
go.
right? Yeah, because they intuitively recognize we have to return to the
Mhm.
indigenous ways. We have to return to coming back into harmony and relationship with the earth and listening again, because we're so disconnected and on our devices and rushing around that, yes, this energy with Three Eye Atlas and this delivery and this information is coming. But if we're in that mindset, which is so scattered and so outward, we're not going to be recognize it, feel it, and move with it. So the divine feminine energy is coming up because that's the void, the emptiness, the space, the darkness, right? The pregnant void, the womb space where we're not busy and we have to move into that in between, the space in between the breath or the space in between the mantra, where we find that what we need to be able to receive these gifts. So, yeah, it's really,
Yeah.
I think we're calling upon everyone to move into that right now.
And I think the thing I'd like to sort of add in is something I've kind of banged on about in my videos, but just in case anybody's missed those, the particular astrological configuration that we have at the moment, the particular geometry, and astrology is all about symbolism and geometry, we have never had before. We have literally never had before. Part of it, which is the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, we last had that at zero of Aries almost 6,000 years ago. And I want to credit Heather Ensworth for finding that it was in 4,361 BC. So that's just one element of this completely unique configuration. But that conjunction, which is happening exactly on February the 20th next year, is at 0 degrees of the Aries. It's the creator degree. It's pure potentiality. And so that also spoke very loudly to me about, this is a unique jump for humanity. And I've talked to Jude Currivan, who you know, Kelly, the cosmologist, and said to her, "Is this a completely unique happening for humanity?" And she said, "Yes." David Clement said, "Yes, it's completely unique," and that's very much reinforced by the astrology and all of your work, Kelly. So that's what gives me a lot of excitement that this we can't just kind of keep on going in the same old way through this incredible opportunity because it's moving fast. These next few months are moving incredibly fast. It ain't going to slow down anytime soon in 2026. It's going to get faster in 2026. So these precious few months as we move out of this year and the kind of cocoon that we're in, the incubation, once we hit, February, March, April, May, that's go time. That's action time. That's go time. So that's why this is such an incredibly rare, unique, really, opportunity to maximize this gift that's coming up for humanity. And it's just up to us as individuals how fully we tune into that or not.
Our mission here at the
Mm.
Heart Coherence Collaborative is to get people in touch with the healing power of the heart.
And we really need your help. Right now, only 1% of viewers subscribe. We are aiming to take that number to 6%.
The reason why we want to do that is the more people that subscribe, the more people in the world can learn the magical practice of heart coherence.
So please help us out. If you ever listened, if you love this message, please just take a moment to subscribe.
Thank you so much. We love you.
We love you.
So I would love to just go touch back on the specific dates that are coming up that we need to pay attention to. Kelly, I know you mentioned 12/12. There's something going on with Jesus energy. Could you just touch on the dates we need to be aware of that are coming up immediately?
Well, these are not astrological dates, so I'm sure Pam has some really important astrological things to share around dates. This is information that's coming in because I'm stepping into this divine feminine light code, and so they're forming it for me. But we're going to have, I believe, a full moon on December 4th, and that's when I'm going to ignite that divine feminine energy. Then, as we go into December 8th, which is the 8/8, we're going to work with this light conception vibration, working with the Divine Mother and the Mother Source grid, which is going to open up the space that we're needing to go into the 12/12, which is going to be a union of the Christ consciousness and the Mother Source grid coming into union, where we're going to be fully bathed and loved in this energy as if we were this divine child, remembering fully who we are and our complete and absolute divinity. And then we're going to receive these gifts that will come in between the 12th and the 21st, where we're going to just be bombarded with this energy that's coming in from Three Eye Atlas. And as Pam was reminding us of this unveiling and remembering, right, of our latent or dormant potentials. And the three potentials are these divine feminine energies that they want to work with us. It happens to be opening three different eyes, which is probably coincidental. I don't know, with Three Eye Atlas, but it's the third eye, the eye and the heart, right? So our visionary free abilities, telepathic connection, the seer, the oracle, the capacity to open up realities. Then the heart coherence, opening the eye of the heart, breaking down any energies that are keeping us from moving into coherence in the heart center, where we can give birth to miracles and healing, working with Raphael's energy. And and then this opening of the womb, and an eye actually in the womb, which is the seed of creation, so that we can fully remember how to create again and how to give birth through the darkness, through the void, to new realities, new ways of being, by remembering the avatar that we are. And then as we come into the solstice, all that energy from all the way from the spring equinox, 9 months until we hit the solstice, is going to culminate into a full-blown energetic like activation of this deep remembering, where this divine essence of who we are in true union rises and is birthed as we step over the threshold into the next year, which is new beginnings, right? Because we complete a cycle, we open up the doorway to the new beginnings in 2026. And that's what Pam is talking about. Then it's like we're going at bullet speed, right? Forward, but we're carrying with us that we're embodying our light body, and we're moving through with that speed, with deep remembering of who we are. So we become almost not unstoppable, but we're really aligned with a beautiful high timeline. And so this is our opportunity. And I think many of us we're all born to be here at this moment, but for many of us, people are feeling it. They realize something's coming, and they're energetically connecting and preparing for it. And a lot of people are starting to remember their purposes, or why they're here, or what they want to do, and let go of a lot of fears and old belief systems, and forgiving people and coming back into union, and just really opening their heart. So it's going to be an opening of the eye and the heart and the womb.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
yes, yeah.
really beautiful, because on the 12th of December, Venus is conjunct something which is a massive galactic gravitational anomaly in space. It's very mysterious, called the Great Attractor, 14 degrees of Sagittarius. And it's like this massive cosmic vacuum cleaner that sucks thousands of galaxies in its wake at 630 kilometers an hour. So it's just suck it. So, it's dragging all these energies with it. And that's where Venus is. So Venus is very highlighted across many galaxies on the
Interesting, because
12th.
that'll be the union energy, which is the love vibration that we need in order to give birth. Yeah.
That's right. And Mars is at the galactic center. And quite a few months ago, the James Webb Telescope was picking up new bursts of light from our galactic center, and I believe that's where a lot of the light codes are coming from, as well as from our sun. So that's very oh, and my goodness. Yeah, Neptune is virtually stationary direct then. So Neptune, which is unconditional love and healing and the ethereal, because it's at the very last degree of the zodiac. It's formless. It's the mush in the caterpillar. We've dissolved out of form, and we haven't yet reformed into the butterfly. And so, yeah, that is just beautiful, actually. It's right. And when planets change direction, it's an optical illusion from Earth, but when they change direction, their symbolism is magnified. So all that I've just said about Neptune is magnified. So that 1212 portal is really quite remarkable.
Mm.
As well as all the other remarkable stuff. So
Also amazing. And then in the new year, because you're talking about the rebirth and the butterfly, Raphael was like, well, we're going to do, I mentioned this before, the death light code. I'm like, okay, but it's rebirth, right? It's like we're all grieving what we knew. And so much of the way the world had been that was familiar and somewhat comfortable is gone on a lot of levels. And we really have to, like Pam was saying, not grip on and try to hold on to the old, because that's not going to work. We have to let go. But that death is happening as, we complete this year, like the death of the old.
Mm.
But with that is the rebirth. With that is the butterfly. With that is a new way of being, if we're willing to let go and willing to embrace the new, and the constructs and the ideas of how things used to be or should be, whether they are in our families, in our relationships, in our institutions, in our governments, they're not how they were. And so it really requires us trusting that, although it may not always seem like it's in divine order, because it seems absolutely chaotic and ridiculous, that there is perfection in it. and that it is the death of something. And we are collectively, I think, in a grieving process. And so that makes sense that we would go into the death like code because we're grieving what was, but we're giving birth to something new.
Yeah, beautifully said. And I think we're grieving old identities, actually. Our identities up to now that we're going to leave behind at the door, if you like, all our titles and status and whatever appear to have meaning over the years is just irrelevant to where we're going. And it's interesting also that in numerology, 2025 is a 9 year. 225 is a year of endings and completion, and next year's a 1 year, which is all about new beginnings, which reinforces, everything you're seeing, Kelly, and I'm seeing astrologically. And that's why I think it's go time. And really a sense of almost spiritual sovereignty, I want to say.
I would love to
Yeah.
check in and just hear your thoughts on bringing it back to Three Eye Atlas specifically, and then we'll circle back to non Three Eye Atlas. But how is Three Eye Atlas magnifying this energy? What is the play that Three Eye Atlas is having on the energetics of everything you just said?
Well, just briefly, because Kelly will have most information on this by a mile. Just briefly, from the little we know, and we know very little, because if we're just sticking to kind of factual energy, we still don't really know what this is. I sense it's a being and a consciousness, but we have very little data. It doesn't appear to be a comet. It's not behaving like a comet.
Hmm.
It seems to be predominantly nickel, not nickel and iron. It doesn't really have much of a tail. It's moving at, phenomenal speed from heaven knows where, and it's billions of years old and could have been traveling for millions or billions of miles. But two extraordinary things is one, it's coming in from eternity in alignment with our ecliptic
Yeah.
plane around which the planets all orbit around the sun, and it only varies by about 5 degrees, which is the same inclination as the moon has to that ecliptic plane. So that's really tight because the previous two interstellar objects were way off the ecliptic plane in terms of degree, but this is pretty much flat with the ecliptic plane. Secondly, it seems to have come in with a cosmic cavalry of six comets that arrive pretty much at the same time. And Three Eye Atlas is going to start to exit our solar system kind of springtime, late spring next year, at the same time, oddly enough, as the six comets. So they're like kind of guardian angels, running shotgun for Three Eye Atlas. So and what, as I kind of hinted at earlier, what's extraordinary for me is the timing, because I've been looking at this kind of astrological unique configuration and peak of timing, but didn't know what was going to create the jump. And then, hey presto, Three Eye Atlas appears. So for me, it's within the context of this unique timing for humanity that it suddenly appeared and nobody quite understands it. But so, from my humble kind of astronomical, astrological point of view, that's what I can share. But Kelly, I know will have much more information than I do.
No, no, not at all. I mean, what I've been getting or is that just like you, Pam, that it's well, what I know for sure it's not is little green beings in a spaceship that are coming to invade the planet, and that we should all be afraid and be hiding under some rock, and that we should get our missile systems out to to bombard it and fight against it. There's nothing to fight against, that's for sure. If anything, it's about how much can we open to receive from it. So I really want to put people at ease because I get all kinds of emails of people are worried or afraid. There is nothing to be afraid of. So let's clear that up, first of all. And secondly, it's ancient, as Pam's saying, billions and billions of years old. We don't know what it is. When I channeled, it came through as a consciousness. And so we can name it whatever we want to name that consciousness. Planets have consciousness. We have everything has consciousness. But it felt very deliberate. It was on a mission. It was coming from a place that was so ancient and so old that we can't put words to. And it was coming right on time. It had a perfect timing, a synchronicity, a purpose to it. It was aligning, and the way that it lines up and what it's doing as it's doing it are so beyond any coincidences that we could make sense of, that we know that it has a divine order to it. And what it was sharing in that channeling was that it was bringing to us whatever, and I don't know how exactly it works, but almost felt it was also part of their, even the chemical compounds of it, and how it interacts with our water, how it interacts with the sun. I mean, if we think about our evolution from a scientific perspective, right, there's a lot of understanding that perhaps things we began through things that came from the stars and the sun and comets and asteroids and so it's a delivery that is helping us to evolve and adapt to the coming changes ahead. And it seems as though through that channeling that it is supporting us in evolving and it's quickening our evolution. And it has something to do with almost outpacing artificial evolution or the synthetic AI that's coming online, which was also really interesting and a bit controversial. And that we're kind of at this crossroads where, as a collective species, we get to remember our own divinity and who we are. And can you imagine if we fully woke up to the truth of our innate wisdom, our intelligence, our power, our divinity, our gifts, and we weren't submerging them and we weren't repressing them and our belief systems weren't covering them and the veil lifted. So it's helping us in revealing and remembering ourselves by what it's bringing in that's activating something in us and in our DNA and supporting us in this leap. And so I think it's a bridge and it's in what it's doing is it's creating a quickening that I think is needed at this time on the planet for us to really step into our true potential and support us in creating a world based in love and unity and peace rather than a potential trajectory in a direction that none of us really want to go down.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, yeah, I'd agree with all of that, and yeah, really echo your point about no fear, because if the galactic beings wanted to polish us off, they've had about 300,000 years to do it, and they haven't done it yet, so I wouldn't worry.
Yeah, and I think they'd have a different way of going about it.
Yeah, and so many people, and you probably see this on social media yourselves as well. So many people are having so many extraordinary experiences as well with greater psychic sensitivity and experiences. And I spotted yesterday, there's a lovely lady, who I think is about 80 now, called Patricia Cota Robles, and she's a real spiritual leader. Her website is Era of Peace, and she's authored about 20 books, and she's an international speaker, beautiful lady. And she said for the very first time in 58 years of her spiritual service, she's been asked by her guides or instructed by her guides to go into silence for the next 2 months, go into cocoon and
Mm.
hibernation for the next 2 months. And of course, I instantly thought of you, Kelly, but she's quite a well-known, spiritual voice. And she said she's never been asked by her guides to do anything like that. So it's, again, a very extraordinary request from her guides.
They're requesting that of a lot of us to and in different ways. I've been instructed, and I don't want to share it publicly because I think it's important for me to keep it to myself, but to do something for 40 days before the winter solstice.
Mm.
I've been asked to do. And I think many of us might feel or hear callings of things to do that will support us in creating that empty space so that we can hear more clearly the divine. We can feel it. We're receptive to it. So that could be being quiet, meditating more, being in nature, fasting, whatever it might be that shows up for you. But if you get this urge or feel called by spirit to do something, that helps you kind of settle into that quietness. I think it's a good time to listen.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity we can't miss. If I'm looking at it astrologically, it's not going to come round again. We've had our rehearsal through the summer months. This is not a rehearsal. This is an incubation before the launch, is how I'm seeing it astrologically.
Yeah, it's really an important moment. So
Yeah, so I'm listening to both of you and it sounds really amazing. And I reflect back on the life that I'm observing my friends living, and there's a lot of struggle. It doesn't seem all sunshine and rainbows. And I'm wondering, I've been in this space for 5 to 10 years and I haven't seen anything like this. I don't think I've seen anything of this magnitude. I can't recall. a time where all of the healers, not just one, not just two, but all of them were harmoniously stating that this is massive, right? So is this the splitting of the prism? Is this the time where the two earths are being created, where we're being pulled in one of two directions? Or is everyone just being lifted up? I'm not sure. I'd be curious to hear what you both think on this.
Yeah, I don't know what Kelly thinks about this. I don't know if it's a physical Earth split, i.e., two Earths. But I think it's undeniable there's a dimensional split. I think we're in
Mm,
it right now. I know from my normal friends who I love dearly, they
yeah.
have an utterly different worldview than me and think I'm a bit of a kind of rogue and terrorist, I think. But because I have very different views to them. So I think it's undeniable that there is a dimensional split. That's my humble view. Whether there's a physical Earth split, I don't know. Kelly might be a better person to answer that.
Yeah, I don't know. I too, like Pam, I have what I say to my husband, my 3D friends and my 5D friends. And I love them all. And I would be more on the page that we're all being lifted together.
I like that.
And that some of us perhaps, like back in 1989, when I began to channel, Raphael would talk about we're just piercing the veil, we're just blazing a trail, and just a few are trickling through, and then it's going to get wider and wider, and more and more and more will start to channel and open up and come through. And I think it's widening and widening, and more people are awakening and remembering their divinity. And they can do that in all different ways. It doesn't have to be listening to or on the track that we're on or channeling. It can come in so many ways, right? And it doesn't matter what the form is in this awakening. It's just awakening to the love of who you are, and a healing process that takes place. And it can take place in many ways, but it feels like collectively so many people on the planet are doing that. And yes, simultaneously a lot of people are deeply struggling, but they have someone like you in their life who
Yeah.
can be the person that reaches down with that hand, like I do in my community and Pam does in hers, to those perhaps who you can kind of hold that frequency of that heart coherence of that love, so that instead of being pulled down where they are, you can hold a vibration where they can connect into that and be pulled into that frequency. So the more of us that are holding the vision, as Raphael would say, holding the love in unity consciousness, that bandwidth just gets bigger and bigger, and it's easier for others to flow through. So, not the people many years ago were doing the hard work, but in a sense, they were blazing a trail that opened a pathway where other people are just having a wake up call overnight. They haven't gone through years and years and years of these processes. They're just like, boom, like, what happened? I'm awake and I'm
Yeah.
remembering, right? And so we are hopefully all here to help one another on that path. And it's not a separation as much as an opportunity for us all to make that leap. And some may consciously literally choose not to, and that's okay too, because whatever journey or path they're on, we have to honor that as well.
And I think everybody certainly has the same opportunity to receive these light codes coming in, and then it's down to free will. Everyone has the same opportunities. Yeah, it's almost like we've created stepping stones, or some of us in, doing our humble best have created stepping stones of light. And as you say, Kelly, it's so much easier for others to follow, but we all have the same opportunity. It's just down to free will and our own discernment as to which way we go. And ultimately, it's an analogy I use a lot, that it's like we're all at an airport. Some people have chosen fast track, some have chosen slow track, but we're all going to get on the unity consciousness plane at the end of the day.
Nice.
And that's quite a helpful analogy, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you always say, Pam, and it's so true, it's our perception. We get to choose to see the beauty, the gratitude, the love, what's going well, and focus on that, or on all the negativity and drop into that. And not to deny things that are unfolding, that's not what I'm saying, or to bypass them, but also not to really get so caught in the story and the dwelling, and try to start to just shift our perspective with gratitude to what is working, where we are going, what is happening that's positive, then we know that we're amplifying that. And so when we are in a place where we have an opportunity to do that, and we're not always, sometimes we're really down in the drudges, right? But when you're not, I think you almost have almost an obligation in a way. I don't like to use that word, but to to hold the space to support others so that they too can start to see all the good things that are happening.
Awesome. Yeah. So I would love for us to just provide a quick, because we've spoken on it, but I'd love to just give a quick outline for anybody listening on what they should be doing right now to anchor in these energies, both the people that are struggling and the people that are in leadership positions.
Pam?
I think drop into stillness and receive love.
Yeah. It's so simple. And that's the thing, right? We're looking for some complicated formula that's going to make it all better. But it's really about just like Pam is saying, being still, reconnecting with nature, breathing, slowing down, really working on our relationships, healing our old wounds, letting go of old belief systems, healing our ancestral lineage, you know, forgiving people, letting the small stuff go. Recognize that wherever you are in this now moment, it too shall pass, right? Some of those old things our parents would tell us, like embracing those basic teachings. And when you're in a total funk, just go for a walk, get outside, go hug a tree, take a breath, take a break. The one thing I really recognize being in the dark is that we're all trying to get somewhere and waiting for what the next thing is. And then somehow we're going to arrive and we're rushing towards something, but there is nowhere to get to.
Yeah.
Like we are already here. Like when I was in the dark, where am I trying to go? Just be present. And so presence is kind of the whole thing. If you can keep bringing it back to presence, even in the struggling of the moment, in that second, wherever you are, you're usually okay.
Yeah.
Even in the worst case, like if you really can come into right now in this second, are you okay, Kyle? Are you okay, Pam? We're okay, right?
Yeah.
So just keep bringing it back into presence. And so in the dark, it showed me if I just come into the now and I'm in the space with the nothingness, everything is okay. And then when it floods back in, I took the blindfold off, then that was beautiful too. Like everything was shining and shimmering and beautiful, but I had saw it with new eyes. And so I think with coming in with Three Eye Atlas and with this energy that's permeating and moving toward us is giving us an opportunity to start to see things for the first time with new eyes, with fresh perspective, in deep gratitude for everything all around us and how connected it is and how connected we are to each other. And I think one of the things that Three Eye Atlas will support us in is this remembering of how connected we are. So when your friend who is suffering is down, we're all down, but when we're holding this higher vibration, it's helping them, right? So we're all connected and it's when we all are lifted up. I don't see it so much as a separation, but when we all come back into union, can you imagine what that would feel like?
Mm, yeah. Yeah. I just want to echo everything you just said about going into the stillness and answering the call of spirit. Spirit might show up in your life right now and some sort of ask from you to go somewhere, to do something. Like Kelly, in our last interview, I was in Sedona, and that interview was so amazing. But I was in Sedona, and it wasn't a studio recording an interview. It was in Sedona, and I was there because Spirit told me to go there. And because I went there, I got a lot of healing from that situation. And so I'm just encouraging anyone listening, if Spirit says, "Hey, you need to go there," and it's some random thing, and you feel in your heart that you should go, you know, do that. Do that thing, right?
Yeah, go on that sacred trip, or it might call you the opposite to cancel the sacred trip.
Cancel the sacred trip.
Go on it or
Lay low.
cancel it
Yeah.
or take that job or quit that job. Like listening to spirit and finding what that kernel of truth is that's authentic for you and without so much seeking out so much outside influence, just really following your heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I'm grateful for the moment. In the morning, and if the sun is shining, I'll go out and thank the sun for being there. I'll thank the trees in my garden. Because
Mm,
once you're in that state of gratitude in the present moment, you're not leaking power. You're not anxious about the future. You're not worrying about the past. You're in your point of power. And that's the only place we can really find it at that kind of 0 point. But if we do have that kind of Zen beginner's mind, I'm saying to the trees on my morning walks, you're so beautiful. I'm so grateful that you're here and your colors are amazing right now. And it's that sense of simplicity that's almost childlike wonder that
Mm.
mm,
I think helps to get us to that place. And that's not hard for anybody. That's a very simple thing we've all experienced as children. And so for me, the more complicated the outside world gets, the simpler we have to become internally, really.
yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. And as you were saying, like, I just love going out and talking to the trees and saying, "You're so beautiful." But now I do it to my body. Like, I lay down in the morning when I do my yoga, I'm all like, "Oh, thank you, heart. You're the best for pumping for 59 years.
Yeah.
Thank you, lungs, that I'm breathing." And it sounds so silly and simple, but it shifts your vibration like that.
Mm,
It's the easiest and quickest thing is when we move into gratitude for the earth or our body or anything or people we love or whatever. That to me, that's the fastest way we can raise our vibration.
Yeah, I really agree with that. Yeah.
yeah, Pam, last time we interviewed you, you talked about going out and observing light codes from the sun. And every sunset, I live on the ocean here, and we have the most beautiful sunset. And I go out on my balcony as the sun's setting, and it's this beautiful pink, and I pull it into my heart. I just say, yes, yes, yes. And it feels so good. It really feels so good. So I think what we should do now, just to be in integrity with everything we just said, is we should take a moment of just stillness before Kelly comes on and channels Raphael. So if everyone's okay with it, let's just take a moment of trying to really anchor in stillness, and then we'll turn it over to Kelly and Pam. You and I can go back and forth with questions. Cool. Let's take a moment of silence here. Okay. Whenever you're ready, Kelly, just let us know. And Pam, you
Okay.
can ask the first question.
Hello.
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 Hello, hello, hello,
Hello.
Hello.
hello, hello. Wow. We are very delighted, as always, to be here and to attune to all of your energy. And it is our understanding that you're wanting to talk about something. And so, what is it?
Thank you for being with us, Raphael. We always adore your wisdom and your love. And on this very day of the 3rd of November, when Three Eye Atlas is closest to Venus, is there a magnification or an amplification process going on with Three Eye Atlas and Venus, the planet of love?
Yes, for this energy is opening up a space within your heart center for forgiveness, and this forgiveness for those especially attuned as we were working today with all of your birth mothers to come in relationship and attunement to an absolute sense of purity and love to those who have brought you through their vessel here on the planet at this time. For it is that the lineage of this vibration and the healing of this is of essential importance at this time, as well as with the masculine of the father energy and the union of their vibrations that have brought you into this world, so that you may come into harmonization within your energetic field and radiate love to and with and through their presence, for they were the first energies that embodied your vibration, and now you will be embodying something else and stepping over and into a new way of being. And so, in order to do that, it is of great importance that healing takes place. And so, love is the potion, is the energy, is the frequency for healing and creates the most healing in the body. But it is not only love for yourself and love for your partners and your loved ones, but for those who were the vessels of energy in which you were inside prior to coming and embarking on your journey here on earth. And so this energy of love is very powerful and one of the most powerful and potent frequencies that exists in the universe. And so it is deeply amplified at this time. However, this may cause for some, because they have been denying loving themselves and those around them, for their shields are up and around their heart centers. This is penetrating this and creating a softening and a feeling of vulnerability. And in this feeling of vulnerability that many are experiencing in this now moment, there is a rising of primordial energies and waters that are coming up, that are clearing and cleansing and healing the heart, and are creating a flooding of codes of light that are moving around your planet. And love is coming in waves. But you sometimes think about love like a fairy tale or a beautiful romantic journey. And yes, it can be that, but love is also what heals. But in order to heal, one must create opening and be able to receive and to move into forgiveness. So this frequency is not just love, it is also profoundly connected to the vibration of forgiveness.
Everybody is really curious about the relationship between Three Eye Atlas and extraterrestrials. When you tune into this rock, where does it come from? What can you tell us about where it comes from and what it wants us to know?
Well, it is carrying components that are what you would call extraterrestrial, because it is connected to many different star systems, not just one. And it is a conglomerate, should we say. It is a collective of energy, of a collective galactic frequency that is very old and very, very ancient and carries deep, deep wisdom. And it is arriving and has been called by you and for you. And it is that many of your indigenous ones have been aware or mapping or known of its process, that it is arriving just here at a moment that is very needed, as it illuminates so much for all of you in the depth of your being, in the essence of your soul. For it will penetrate you at the deepest levels in which the facades and the masks that have hindered you from recognizing your own self are dismantled and dissolved and begin to fall away. It has been prophesied by many as well, for it has been on its trajectory for a long period of time, and its timing is exact and precise in its delivery at this particular moment. But it is here to support your planet that is so, so deeply loved. But as it begins to send what it will be delivering, it will pass through many what we would call gateways, many layers of distortion, many layers of illusion that have been wrapped around your fields in which you have been perceiving the world through your collective ways of being and collective decisions of your own perceptions that will begin to dissolve. And that the dissolution of that will create a rippling effect around your planet, in that you will begin to perceive and see things and beings and one another and your planet and all of its components and its elements of its water and its fire and its light and its crystals and its plant kingdom and animals and one another in ways in which you have not in ancient times. It will be a rising and a returning. And much of what it will be doing is also interacting with your waters that are encoded with the information, like libraries of energies that like doorways and gateways and stargates will open, and it will open up information and codes in your plants and in your crystals. And as it does so, you will feel this begin to permeate your energetic fields in a remembering, as you will feel and become over time more luminous, lighter. You'll be made more of light. You will be feel called to eat less, to move more, to lie on the belly of the earth and to feel her heartbeat, to lie on your back and to connect with Father Sky, and to follow the threads of golden light that travel through the realms of your DNA and spiral through your molecular structure back to a time of remembering when you were the great seers and the oracles and the shamans and the healers and the ones that could appear and disappear in the quickening of an eye and the manifestation and the creation that came from your thoughts and your heart, the formation of these energies and frequencies as you communed with the dolphins and the whales and aligned with the stars and their systems and the circles around you and the stones that gave rise to the connections of the lines and the meridians on your earth. And so as it delivers its frequency, its love, its components, its energy, its information, not only is it awakening and stirring and deep rememberings that lie and dwell within you, but also within Mother Earth herself, for a great healing of her ley lines will take place, and a repair of different energies will occur, and sacred sites will turn on, and places that have been dormant will be revealed and seen and remembered. For the remembering is not only for you and your own divinity, but for many things that have been obscured, have been hidden, and have been deleted in a sense from your timeline, from your systems, from your teachings, from your history, that will begin to come online. And this unfolding will occur over the coming years as the perception of where it is that you are today in this moment prior to the full arrival of your interaction with this beautiful and magnificent frequency to many years from now will be so very different, for you cannot perhaps even begin to conceive the world in which you will be living in. And we hear you speaking and talking about the idea or the question or the asking if there will be a splitting. And it is not so much a splitting, but it is a choice. And we do not want to deny the understanding that that is so, between different ways and opportunities that will present themselves to you. And one will carry you through the codes of ancient teachings and rememberings as you look to the stars and the inner waters of your earth, to pass through many dimensions back in time to to the indigenous ones of your ancestors, whose energies will rise, coated with you, and merge with the understanding you carry now, to carry you forward in dream time, to create new worlds and realms and realities through the perception of your own natural biological evolution. And another will be different than that, for it will bind you more in the illusion, as the illusion will become more bonded, more tightened in its delivery, in which you will lose track and connection to the indigenous teachings, to your planet, to the elements, to the alchemy, to the remembering of the energies that carry and the codes that dwell within you, and you will get caught in a system that will take you down a path that is very dangerous and somewhat what you would call artificial, that carries you away from the essence and the truth of your own heart. And so this energy is coming particularly at this time as an intersection or an opportunity for an expansion, for you to see the light and the moving forward of the unfoldment of the energy, in which will bring more balance, more harmony to Mother Gaia, to your planet, to you, and to all living organisms upon your planet at this time. For the cycles in which you have repeated at other times within your systems are being asked at this time not to be repeated. And it is here to support you in making a decision not to repeat that which has been repeated before, so that you can make a leap in your quantum consciousness to a way of being in which you are still descendant and held within the form of matter, within the body and the idea of the understanding of a sense of self, but yet with the remembrance simultaneously of the connection of oneness of who it is that you are. And it is that this will break the bonds of the illusion that you have been or have ever been separated from the source and the essence of the true nature of self. And yet this other pathway is much more that in which will bind you to a place of deep embeddedment in the illusion, and a deeper sense of forgetting and disconnection from nature and one another. And so we are encouraging all of you to listen to the calling of your heart and to follow the internal knowing that is rising inside of you, and to open to the understanding that this is an opportunity at this time as a collective and as a species and as a being of energy to open up a pathway in which karmic cycles no longer need to repeat it in the way in which they have before, and you can step into a new way of being.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Raphael. And I've always felt that the toxicity and pollution on the land and in all of our waterways would be cleaned up quickly. It wouldn't take years and years and years. And is it the frequency and light codes of Three Eye Atlas that will expedite that, please?
Oh, yes. There are many technologies, and so we want to clarify that there will be technologies that will come online very quickly that will have a very positive effect as well, and that they are encased in this way, and that the cleaning and the clearing of your waters and the healing of your soil and the returning of the nutrients needed to grow your crops that are full and healthy, and for the return of your water to come back to its original water and its source, so that the blooming and the returning of the reefs may occur, and the fish may begin to thrive, and the dolphins may begin to hear again the songs that have been disturbed from the disturbances above come back online as they communicate with the star beings above, and the whales can hear their songs again. And all of this will very much come back into balance and into alignment, for this is the timeline in which we are speaking of. And what will be occurring at this time is deeply in relationship to the gifts that you are receiving from Three Eye Atlas.
Last time we spoke, Raphael, you had mentioned that there would almost be like a new human being born through the energy upgrades. Could you just speak on that? How can we harness the energy that's coming to the earth right now to better ourselves? Are we becoming a new human? Could you just talk about that a little bit?
Well, there is the biological way in which you have always given birth and will continue to for a period of time, in which many very advanced star beings that will come, that will not be cloaked by the veil of the descent of being in form and matter in the way in which you have been in the unfoldment of your experience, will be and are arriving at your planet at this time, that carry many gifts, and they will be teaching those gifts to their elders and parents, and this will create a rippling effect and will be extremely healing. Their energy is very healing, and they are arriving right now on Earth in droves. However, simultaneously and in addition to these beings of children that are coming through in the natural process in which you are accustomed to, there will be a stirring and a changing in those who have already arrived within their own biology, as well as they are remembering, and they are awakening DNA. And in doing that, many gifts will spontaneously begin to come online. And so it is very important that when you are having these experiences, to be present with them, to feel them, to recognize them, to move into appreciation for them, and to know that these are pathways in which neurons are turning on, in which old codings and ways that you have forgotten about are being reignited. And so you might feel warmth at the base of your spine. You might feel tingling at your third eye. You might feel or sense lights in the corners of your eyes. You might begin to see orbs. You might be able to feel the presence and the names and the communication as you align and attune to the plant and to the animal kingdom, as they may begin speaking to you. You may feel a presence and a sense as you are walking on the earth and in the woods in a way that you have not sensed or felt before. You may feel a calling or a need to look out at the moon as it becomes bright in the full sky or in the deep darkness. You will feel a deeper calling or feeling to sensations to move to different places that are quiet, or to change things in your life, because you are all asking to follow the golden threads of energy that are moving back through your ancestral lineages to the point and the place of the origin in which you are still in dream time, with the capacity to dream things into reality. And all of these energies now are coming back. And so we are inviting you to honor them, pay attention to them, speak of them, share of them, attune to them, and recognize and know that they are true.
Beautiful. Thank you, Raphael. And is ancient Lemuria the best vision or template we have for where we are going to from this point on?
Well, this is something in which you are very aligned with this vibration, and we're a high priestess during this time, although you do not like to bring attention to self. We are, yes, wanting to affirm that many of those feelings that you felt back then, as you walked along the shores, as the dolphins connected and communicated, as your bodies were luminous and tall and filled with light, in which you would walk past one another and you could notice something discordant in one another's energy and simply send love, and it would start to move back into balance, as it was clear as to your purpose and your code and your energy that you were embodying, and why you were here, and how it interfaced and interworked with one another. When you worked with color and you worked with sound, and you could hear the echoing sounds and the vibrations that allowed you to move stones and rocks from places, when you communed and connected with the star beings and the brothers and sisters in open alignment as you gathered together in circle. And it is that through these times in these temples and these crystalline cities and structures, you were very much in alignment with your planet and in communion with it. And so all of this is something that was so beautiful, so in resonance with the ancient teachings and the rememberings before your form densified further, and other energies arrived from other star systems moving into other civilizations that got a bit off track, should we say. And so the return of that energy and the rise of that wisdom, those teachings that have been held by many within your inner earth, as well as they've been holding flames of light for you this entire time, so that you may reclaim them within your heart and remember these teachings and knowings, is an energy that is surfacing, is rising, and that you are reclaiming, that you are remembering, that you are tuning to. And so it is very much in alignment with this Lemurian vibration, although it is simultaneously is a bit different because it is a different octave, a different frequency. But if you were to name a frequency that was very similar in its vibration to that in which you are beginning to and will embody in the coming years as a collective, Lemuria would be a beautiful example.
Thank you so much for that. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Raphael.
I'm very curious. This seems to be an awakening of magnitude that we haven't seen before. If you could name this moment in time, what would you give it for a name? And also, what advice would you give for people to prepare for right now in closing?
We are searching for a name, for it has no name, for it cannot be named. It is the opposite of something that is named. It has no identity. It is not part of the illusion of form, but it lives and dwells in the realm of the nothingness and the emptiness and the presence in which you are all speaking in the stillness that cannot be named, in the void, in the space in between. And so this is what we are encouraging you all to do, to find that space in between, that tenderness, that 0 point, the null. For it is that that and is where you shall find what it is that you are all seeking for. And it is not something outside of self, but it has always been within you. And it knows where it dwells, for it has always dwelled in the same place as it always will, and that is in the sacred chamber of your heart. And so it is in the stillness of that moment that you may find it and know that it is there. And with that, we love you and send all of our blessings from the angelic realm as you receive these magnificent gifts that are bombarding your planet at this time. Much love and good day. What? Wow.
It's extraordinary, Kelly.
Truly. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Really.
Do either of you have anything you want to add in closing? So this was, thank you both. Thank you for being here on my birthday.
Happy
I
birthday.
truly enjoyed this. And
That's so amazing. You know why? Because today we had this whole thing in class, we're in the womb code, and we gave birth to ourselves. Like we went through this process where we were in the womb and then we were birthed, right, Pam? And birthday. So I love that. See, it always lines up so nice. So
yeah,
happy birthday.
thank you so much. Yeah, this has been really powerful. So
Really has. Yeah. Happy birthday, Kyle. What a birthday gift we just got for you.
yeah, I would love for us to just end by giving any advice to anyone listening on how they can anchor in all the energies coming in, because this conversation was really powerful and there's a lot that's happening. And just, I would love to just close with what should we be doing moving forward in the next month here?
Hmm. Just love yourself and everybody around. There's nothing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would echo that, and just again be in stillness, bare feet on the grass as often as you can. Just receive and thank everything around you for the blessings you have in your life. Just live in gratitude and have that lens of expectation that good things are going to come to you. Have that lens not of doom and gloom, but of the opposite. That you know that miracles happen for you, that good things happen for you. That's your lens on the world. I'd say that's helpful too.
Awesome. And I'm going to put links below for everyone to find Pam and Kelly. And I would encourage you to do so because they have both been incredible influences in my life. And I thank you both for your energy and what you're doing to the collective. It's very meaningful to all of us, truly. Like both of you are playing a really big part in our collective awakening, and we love you deeply. So thank you.
Right back at you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Kyle. Thank you so much.
All right, everybody, take care.
All right. Mwah.